Well, we're at this point in the stage of gaming where when they're remaking a game, it has to be completely rewritten because it was in the middle of Africa. Yes, today we're going to talk about the Resident Evil 5 remake and an IGN tweet that went out where they completely locked it down the second they put up the article. You know, this is one of those situations where I just have to sit there and shake my head. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please think of doing that today. Maybe I've earned your subscription at this point. If you're a returning viewer, thank you for coming back. IGN, Resident Evil 5 simply cannot be remade, at least not to the standards of Capcom's best work. So the answer is not to remake, but to rewrite. And of course, they get community noted. This article misconstrues the story of Resident Evil 5. IGN rated the original Resident Evil 5 a 9 out of 10. Resident Evil 5, a Resident Evil game that cannot be remade. With Resident Evil 4 last year, Capcom project to remake the glory years of its survival horror series is complete. But the game's post-credits scene suggests the remakes aren't over, and so the big question is, where's next? Obviously, they're going to 5, but the game's 15th anniversary, it's clear moving forward chronologically, will take Capcom's remakes into series' weakest era, the era of gameplay and narrative decisions left best in the past. Well, no, how about we just stop the remakes first off, just stop them. Because the remakes aren't doing anything for the original title. Re-release it, maybe update the graphics, do a re-release, but don't remake the stories, just leave the stories as it is. But they're just gonna go for a rewrite. Set in the fictional West African country, Resident Evil 5's primary antagonists are black people. Yes, technically it's the Ouroboros virus that protagonist called Chris Redfield is fighting, but the parasite's host is depicted as a notion of mobs and primitives who are violent even before their infection. Intentionally or not, Resident Evil 5 positions Africa as a dark continent, an uncivilized world harboring a diseased population that needs gunning down via Western intervention in the name of global security. Oh boy, where is this going? The insensitivity treatment of people of color was hotly debated even in the early as Resident Evil 5 debut trailer, with writers such as Nagai's Cora and Stefan Torlio pointing out the game's uncomfortable post-colonial imagery. You know what, I didn't play past 4, 5, when they started doing 5 and it just came old. The game, the whole Resident Evil thing, just, I was like, I'm done. 4, I started playing 4, I never really got too far into 4, I just didn't like it. I thought 1, 2, and 3 were really good. I thought the re-release, the director's cut of the very first one was an amazing game for its time, but I think there's much better ways that they can do something like this. Let Resident Evil just put to rest. They've made their millions. They've made an entire IP out of it. We're going to go over to That Park Place. IGN turns off comments after accusing Resident Evil 5 of racism and demanding a black protagonist for a possible remake. So they're going to take Chris out of the story and put someone else in there. IGN shut down comments after the publication published on an article accusing Resident Evil 5 of racism and demanding black protagonists be added to the game for a possible remake. The article, written by Matt Purcell, accuses Resident Evil 5 of racism about halfway through the article after arguing for why Resident Evil 5 needs to be remade and rewritten due to the lack of horror elements and the gameplay design that favored mowing down enemies rather than surviving them. Purcell's accused the game of racism. When did Resident Evil 5 come out? How long ago was this? This is quite a while ago now. He wrote a whole new environmental structure, a scenario design, and reins in the action and dials up the horror would bring in line with Capcom's other remakes. You know, if you're going to set a game in the middle of Africa, what are you going to expect? It's like setting the original the first 4 games were all in the US. So what did we get? We don't see anyone just hammering, screaming that there wasn't representation in the first ones. and then they set it in somewhere else in the world where we're going to get a prominent, different colored skin, and now all of a sudden it's absolutely evil. Well, it is Resident Evil after all. They are taking over the world. I do remember in the original games that we did have other players that were in there that would have fit the bill. Hell, you play through the game as a guy or a girl through the entire thing. You have Jill Valentine, what is it, Claire Redfield, and then Jill Valentine in Resident Evil 3. So what is the problem here? Oh, I know. They had to censor Jill Valentine's outfit for the modern audience. That's where this started. And now they're going full, they're going full out. They're going full out, full Robert Downey Jr. here, and just getting absolutely ridiculous at this point. Honestly, what happens? Yeah, Percival stated, set in a fictional West African country, Resident Evil 5's primary antagonists are black people. Well, it's in Africa. What do you want? What do you want anymore? Seriously, what? Oh my God. This is just getting, it's getting very silly. The westernization and the polarization of these stories. IGN puts it out there and they're like, we're not even going to take comments on this. They instantly locked it right off the bat. You've got 3.4 retweets of this tweet, not the articles per se. You've got 600 bookmarks here, and you can't even sit there and reply to it because they knew it would just get lit up because they know what they're doing. This is all for bait and click, and that's what it's come down to. I honestly, like I said, I've fallen off with the Resident Evil crowd. I loved the very first game. The second one is probably my favorite out of the series. 3 was okay. 4 is I kind of lost it at that point. Anything past that, I went, I'm done. I don't need to go anywhere past this. The game has spoke for itself for a very long time. So honestly, what does it come down to? Do you turn around and remake this game? Is there one of the rewrites that you would want to see for Resident Evil 5? Does it really need it at this point? Or just let it be? Just let these games be what they are. Come up with a new concept, for Christ's sakes. These remakes are getting a little bit out of hand, and I think there's creative juices out there. But of course, if you're going to sit there and just make it all about how the looks of the day were, then yeah, of course it's not going to do very well. Anyway, I've been your proud Canadian Phoenix, Cindershadow. I'm signing off here. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you again very, very soon.